My name is Megha Iyer, Associate Editor of B2B Purchase magazine, and I welcome you all to a B2B's interactive series on crushing and screening performance and efficiency benchmarks. The global crushing and screening equipment market is expected to grow significantly by 2029. The market will develop steadily in 2023 thanks to the increasing use of strategies by the crushing and screening equipment manufacturers and procurement experts. The equipment is increasingly being used to meet the growing construction requirements. Increasing investments and governments backing for digital innovations are projected to boost the demand for crushing and screening equipments and solutions. Considering these advancements, our today's discussion will explore the latest trends and advancements in the crushing and screening industry. We will also assess the technological advancements in products and solutions that are enhancing the project viability, procurement, and efficiency standards across the construction projects. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you to our today's distinguished speakers. Mr. Suraj Cherukat, Head of Business Development and Sales at Hailstones Innovation Inc. Mr. Wasim Pradhan, Head of Sales for India and International Business at Asher Locker India Private Limited. Mr. Suraj, starting with you. You already mentioned about the critical parameters for choosing fine and coarse aggregates. I want to understand that what are the parameters to assess the quality of aggregates, especially when we talk about mining projects, and how does it impacts the reliability?
So specifically, you are discussing for fine aggregates, or say collectively about fine as well as
Yes.
coarse. So one major important parameter which is very commonly observed is flakiness. Flakiness means the material should be actually round, cubical, or it should have more surface area, so that the binding between the cement and other particles and the absorption rate increases, which thereby improvises the durability of the concrete. So that is one thing. Second thing, on a very important parameter which we look for is like the fine gradation. For example, if you are looking to sand, the microfines, or which is already considered as an impurity, which should be maximum removed of. There are some certain limits which are being kept. For example, 75 micron, maximum permitted is 12 percentage to 15 percentage. If anything goes more than that, that reduces the quality of the sand, which thereby again affects the concrete or whatever construction is being made, the durability of that. Then basically the surface structure, the particle shape, the hardness of the material, but it should not be brittle. Like when it gets cracks, again the capacity goes on. So these four will be, if you ask me, I will tell you like basically it's like the grading. Second thing is the flakiness, then the elongation, and the presence of the microfine. These will be the four major points which has to be taken care in the quality parameters.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj, for elaborating that. Mr. Wasim, when you talk about technologies, how far are the advanced technologies in screening solutions reliable in evaluating the quality and the standards that we're expecting in the construction and mining sector?
So it is actually very important since like how Suraj said, for the gradation between M sand and the other sand. And so it is important that the finer and coarser sands are segregated efficiently in a very efficient way. So unless and until you are able to use the right kind of technology and the right kind of product in your crushing circuit, you're always going to have an inefficient balance into your crushing circuit, wherein you are recirculating a lot of material again and again to get that quality, right? So perfect example I'll give you in crushings here, right? So if you don't have the right kind of cone crusher or the right kind of VSI, it is not going to serve that specific purpose. Like a VSI should have a capability of producing a good quality shape of the material. But if you don't have the right kind of technology, if you don't have VSI in your circuit, but if you want to still have that kind of a material, it's impossible, and that is a term I like to say and I don't like to say. It's either ways, because In India, Jugaad technology is highly done, in most of the crushing and screening circuits. And instead of going for the right kind of technology, just to save some money, people make some kind of Jugaad, and they end up spending a lot of money in OPEX. So where they're saving, say, 10 rupees in capex, they end up paying 15 or 18 rupees in OPEX. So that's the impact of technology. But the only problem is customers are not aware of these differentiating factors. And thanks to the, I would say, the internet generation, and that people are becoming more and more aware of technology as and when it is being made available. Like I forgot to mention one point, is the future of screening. That's actually a very vast topic, but I'll just give you a glimpse. Like 10 years down the line, if someone have mentioned AI, it sounded a little bit weird, but today we have AI, and we have been looking at the results what AI does. Similarly, in future, probably, in fact, our parent company has started manufacturing a product which looks like wire mesh, but it is not a wire mesh. So basically, it's a metallic body, but it is covered with advanced polyurethane. So it is going to give you the results of both a metallic product as well as a non-metallic product. So the benefits are going to be huge, and this is the future. And we tend to, we are trying our level best to bring that technology into India as fast as possible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wasim, for pointing out that quality is paramount in any project. And also, you also mentioned about, the pricing factors. I was coming to that, and I wanted to know is what are the potential consequences of using low quality or cheaper products, technologies, and solutions in plants that are used at project site?
The first thing, as I said, is these kinds of meshes are installed on a highly vibrating body. So if anything goes wrong, the consequences are very very tough. It's beyond imagination. Someone can die at your plant. A very good example, one of my customer brought this to my notice. So one of my customer is a manufacturer of an asphalt. So that plants are being sold to make asphalts for road and runways for the airport. And it was a very important example which he gave me, and I think this is a good platform to share. So they were using low quality screens, and the impact would have been so bad that hundreds of people would have lost their life, because when the asphalt was being laid down on the airport for the runway, a metallic part just was left out of this from the tar, and that was caught during the final inspection. So this was because they were using a low quality mesh, which eventually broke down, and they didn't even realize that it is becoming now part of the product which is being sent for the runway. So that's how important it is to have a good quality mesh. Like if you see, it's hardly a 5,000 or a 10,000 rupee equipment, but the catastrophe would have been at a much larger scale. Many people would have lost their life, or it could have led to a very serious accident.
Thank you so much, Mr. Masim, for sharing your experiences and giving few examples of it.
Yeah.
Mr. Suraj, what would you like to add? I'm sure you would like to add something.
See, coming back to the same point Mr. Wasim was mentioning, people are a bit focused on the capex. So what the relative trend is being seen is, like, if we look into the quality of the aggregates, for example, fine aggregate, all across India, different points have different standards. Even if there is one common highest standard valid for everyone, but the end user customer is flexible like anything. To an extent, if we go to north, specifically somewhere into the Haryana belt, North Rajasthan belt and all, the concept of ESI itself is very less for getting better shape. The product which is coming from a cone crusher, which is considered not to have that much shape or have elongation or flakiness, is considered to be okay at that markets. To an extent, the material of the stone is a reason, but then also people are not ready to invest that much on the capex, and they are more okay to adjust with the quality of that material. But at the same time, if you come to the central India, some, even if into South Madhya Pradesh or certain parts, the quality is very specific, or Gujarat, you are very specific that you need a VSI. The product has to come from VSI only. They are not ready to accept a conversion where there is almost zero elongation and flakiness. The sand has to be washed perfectly and all the microfines has to be removed. So there is a regional based quality variations in India. Apart from that, basically why this is because the conversion which they get from the raw material into the end product is lesser. In those markets where there is a good potential, good price for the raw converted products, the customer is ready to invest for the capex and ensure that the quality is the same. So that is one thing. Second thing is like again what you were rightly mentioning, lower the capex and lower the opex. People are not ready to use the right kind of screening media. They are not ready to change the wire meshes or the PU manuals and time. This thereby deteriorates the quality of the products again. So it's more like how keen the customer is in ensuring that his end products are of good quality. Apart from any legal authority or any standards monitoring them from outside, it will be more critical. So it's at the end of the day, every entrepreneur has to think that I'm going to give a good quality product into the market, out which I'm going to have some concession which has to exist in this world for around 25, 30 years. So that vision has to be there for everyone. That is one point which I wanted to focus on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj, for highlighting this aspect. Mr. Wasim, you are a technology expert. So my question to you is, how do you look at the ratio of integrating these seamless technology solutions in the existing equipments and the processes? And how are the users and the project owners responding to these seamless integration?
The users and the owners, they play very important role, and it is our job to educate them timely, and make them realize that these small things are affecting the overall infrastructure of their company. What I try to do is, me and my team, we have regular webinars or regular small conferences with our customers, wherein we tend to touch the end user of the product. Like what happens is, I'll tell you what, during any dealing or during any product finalization for any crusher or screen, whatever it is, you generally deal with the purchase guys or the management people, but we tend to forget that end user, that foreman or that labor, who's actually going to run that plant and who is actually going to get affected by anything that's happening with that crushing and screening circuit. So it's important that he needs to be educated. He needs to be informed about the latest technological advancements that are already there in the market, which might help him improve, run the plant, at the same time make sure that the health and safety of people around him is taken care of. So the only way out is to educate the customers over and over again. When I joined this company, I thought this was only a problem in India, but I realized that this is all over the world. In fact, I see this regularly happening in UAE. I see this regularly happening in parts of Africa or the SAARC nations. Basic mentality of customers is that just to save a couple of bucks on capex, they end up doing such mistakes and end up paying more money in opex.
Thank you, Mr. Wasim. Safety is really very important in every sector, and addressing that is critical and a responsibility of everyone. Yes. Mr. Suraj, you spoke about tests and parameters. So I want to understand that which tests are critical to assess the entire project quality and not just of the equipment to ensure effectiveness, performance, efficiency of both project and of the equipment.
See, for entire project quality, basically will be the civil tests which they do, the hardness and the brittle and all these things. But if you look into a crusher or from where these aggregates and the fine aggregates are being made, then the tests will be basically based on the code that is IS 2386. So for bigger aggregates or the coarser aggregates, the flakiness, the elongation index, their crushability, their hardness, these things will be measured. And for the fines, it will be basically the sieve analysis and understanding to which particular zone this is belonging to. So that will be the bare minimum test which will be carried out. Once the construction is done, maybe they will be doing the strength analysis of the concrete specifically used. Even for the roads also they do the construction analysis, the other things, which is basically the pure civil side of testings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj. Also, this question, the next question is applicable. I would like to know the views on this, and from both of you, Mr. Wasim and Mr. Suraj. How do you look at the sustainability in the construction, and how is innovations helping you to ensure the sustainability and reduce the environmental impacts through crushing and screening solutions?
See, sustainability is one of the very biggest topic these days. And again, automation, the two things which goes hand in hand. If we look into the market, the recent development is into this recycling of existing construction, the demolition, waste, and even there is biomining of legacy waste. These are the new topics which are coming very, very prominent in the market, which thereby helps in sustainability. We have heard of like in Bhopal city, almost 30 acres of land was reclaimed by removing the bio waste. So that is one side of that. When we come into again to the purely into the construction, nowadays the new rule from even the Ministry of Environment as well as Pollution, the buildings can use almost up to 20% of the recycled materials. So any buildings or road which is being constructed is permitted to have almost up to maximum of 20% of recycled materials. So the waste or the construction and demolition waste are again crushed, screened, washed, and which is made useful just like the normal material. So there the new recent technologies which have been developed for the recycling, for the reconstruction, that is one way, which thereby helps in to that question, what I should do with the old buildings and all this. Secondly, more environmental friendly processes have been coming up in quarrying process, the logistics process. People are going green even in crushers. New trucks and all these things are moving into CNG, thereby reducing the carbon footprint and helping into the sustainability. Now, even our machines also, majority of the crushing machines, there is a relative trend of mobility. People, rather than going for stationary or immobile plants, the trend is people are moving into semi-mobile and mobile plants, mostly project focused. So once the project is done in 2 years or 3 years, for example, a road construction or an infrastructure development, they move the same plant from one point to another. And rather than going for purely diesel or like fossil fuel-based machines, more trend is being shown towards electric and hybrid kind of machines. So these automations and these advantages and the developments which are coming is in a way helping into sustainability. The transformations are happening for sustainability. Now again coming back, the slurry management. Slurry management was one of the biggest concerns for every crush owners. The wastage which comes in tons was not finding any suitable opportunities before. So now more value addition based developments have happened where those waste materials which were considered once waste is getting converted into bricks, solid bricks and all these things, thereby and having a good opportunity for the construction to use that as well as this waste is being managed. So likewise, various developments based on due to the continuous R&D and improvisations happening in the market is helping the entrepreneurs and the customers and the builders to lessen their hardened effect on environment and thereby improvise their solutions. Thank you.
That sustainability is very important, and the use of technology is going to act as a catalyst, which is going to further speeden up the entire process. I'll give you an example for all the users to understand it. There are things happening around us which we often don't notice, but when I'll tell you, you might able to understand. Like earlier, when we used to build our houses, we used to use those mud bricks, right? Eat patthar se ghar banta tha, as we say rightly. Today, most of the houses are built with bricks, which constitutes major amount of fly ash in it. So a couple of years back, the government came up with a scheme wherein if you set up a brick manufacturing plant in your locality, so within 40 kilometers radius, if you have a power plant, it's the responsibility of the power plant owner to deliver you the fly ash free of cost. And technology is so advanced that with use of that waste material, now we are able to make something that is much more useful in our day-to-day activities. So we are using bricks made up of fly ash, and recycling has gone up. I remember when I used to work with a company called Metso, some 8 years back, a customer of mine converted entire crushing and screening fleet that he owned from diesel operation to electric operation. And I'll name the customer. His name was Triveni Earth Movers. They were from Orissa, Barbil. And I believe they were the first one in India to make this transformational change. They did that to improve the efficiency and lower the operational cost of the plant, because since they were the contractors, it was very important for them that they bring down the cost of operation to make money. The cost per ton, if they manufacture at a lower cost, they'll be able to generate more revenues. So that's how it came into. And when we contacted our parent company and we found out that if we could deliver something electric, and the cost came, I think, 5 or 6 times higher than the original plant. But today, if you see, even the smallest of the smallest equipment is being converted into electric. Like I'll tell you simple, like you have wheel loaders or you have cranes in factories. In fact, all the crushers and screens which are track mounted these days come with electric option. So each and every company is trying its level best to make sure that they are sustainable and they go green. But it is also individuals' responsibility, I believe, to bring down the carbon footprint. And we as a company, we also have a vision to go carbon free, and we are working towards our goal. And there are some incidents that happen that actually speed up the entire process, I would say, like COVID. So we used to use a lot of oxygen in our factory pre-COVID. And when COVID struck and there was a scarcity of oxygen, so we diverted our oxygen cylinders to the nearby hospitals. But eventually we had to run our factory. So our R&D team was continuously doing some innovations and ended up with improvising the process in such that now they no longer use oxygen. Or we have converted our factory roofs with solar panels to make sure that there's less impact and less energy is being utilized from fossil fuel. So it's individuals' responsibility, but at the same time, I believe most of the companies these days are working towards going green and going sustainable.
Thank you, Mr. Wasim, for sharing the views and your experiences with us. May I please request you, Mr. Wasim, to give a closing statement for today's session?
So as I said, that technology is going ahead day by day, and it is individuals' responsibility to make sure that you use the right kind of technology so that the impact on the environment and people around you is minimum. The negative impact is minimum. So I encourage each and every one of you to ask questions the next time you tend to buy something, or especially in our industry, where I believe most of the attendees today are from crushing and screening industry. So the next time when you raise a requisition to your purchase department, you make sure that you are asking the right kind of questions. Are you getting a good quality product? Are there harmful chemicals in the product? Is right kind of quality being taken care of by the vendor? So unless and until you start asking questions, things are not going to change. And yeah, I think that's from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Wasim. Mr. Suraj.
Yes, nothing much. It's basically like quality everywhere, quality always. That is one of the biggest thing, because anything, any construction or anything is just not for a very small time. It is for the future generations to come. We know very old buildings which were Britishers built, very long bridges, dams, which was built very long years back, still are working in very wonderful conditions, even if this much advancements in technology were not there. Even this many studies and developments were not there. But we have already seen, like in the very near past, those buildings, something which we have constructed are getting issues. The roads are getting damaged. The roads built down 25 years back are working good. So these all clearly indicates that the quality is not being properly monitored or being considered. And as Mr. Wasim was clearly mentioning, it is not like it is every individual's responsibility to ensure that whatever we are doing and whatever we are getting is in good quality, and we should be asking the right questions. So that is it. So we should be like, whenever you are into something, when you get something or when you do something, ensure that the best is being done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj. Of course, it has to be a collaborative efforts of both industries and the users. Thank you, panelists, for an engaging and informative discussion and submissions on our today's topic of crushing and screening, performance and efficiency standards. It's time to close our today's session. We hope you have enjoyed our session thoroughly. Before wrapping up this discussion, we would like to thank our distinguished speakers, Mr. Suraj Cherukat and Mr. Wasim Pradhan. I would also like to thank Mr. Prasad for taking this initiative. We request our delegates and viewers to stay tuned with us on our social media handles. B2B Purchase is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also download our app from Google Play and App Store. So, with this, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. Request you to stay tuned with us for more such events. Until then, thank you, goodbye, and take care, everyone.